And welcome to Salesforce Apex course. Okay, so now in today's video we are going to learn one of the most important concepts in programming, which is classes and objects, right? So now let's start with classes. Okay, so what is a class in Apex, right? So class is like a blueprint. Okay, like a blueprint. Imagine imagine you are building a house, right? So before building the actual house, what we do is we create a blueprint which contains the structure, okay, design and layout of the like house. But blueprint uh, but blueprint itself is not a real house, right? So similarly in programming, a class is a blueprint like which defines the properties and behavior, right? Okay, so let's take another example. Okay, so first of all, let's see how we can create a class in Apex, right? So you have to go to file. Okay, you have to open your developer console, then go to file, new and Apex class. Okay, so now uh, for creating a class, we need to give it a name. Okay, so I am giving it name as a car, right? Okay, so now the class is created, right? So let's take the example of the car. Okay, so car is a generic word, okay, which can denote any car like Tesla or uh, BMW, right? So car is a blueprint, right? So class a car word itself cannot identify whether it is a Tesla car or a or another car, right? So what we saw is class is a blueprint, okay, which has properties and behavior, right? So in a car, what properties we have, right? Properties means variables, okay. So in car, what properties we have in common, right? So we have a car, like car, okay, a brand, okay, we have color of car, okay, we have model, right? So these are the properties of a car. It will be there in every car, right? So when talking about the behavior of the class, so a car, so what behavior car shows, like it can accelerate, okay, it can stop, right? So this can be the behavior of the car, okay. So every car, sorry, every class has some properties and behavior, right? So for getting the property we use the variables, right? And for creating a behavior or for denoting the behavior, okay, so we use the methods, right? We will see everything, right? So now let's say we have a car, we have created a class car, right? So let's break down this, okay. So first we have a public, okay. So public is a access specifier, right? Access specifier. So what it does is it makes our class public, okay, so that it can be used, like it can be accessed from other places, right? Okay, so don't worry too much about access modifiers right now. We will learn them properly later, right? So next we have a keyword called class, right? And then we have a class name which we have given car, right? And inside the curly braces we will write our code, okay. We will specify the properties and behavior of this class which is a car, okay. So what properties we can give, okay. So what properties it can have, like string name of the car, right? We have a string model, okay. String model is integer model, right? What we have is like string color, right? So these are the properties of the car which can be seen in the every car, right? So so this is the property of the class, okay. So now next one is behavior, okay. So for behavior we use the methods, right? So how we can create a method, okay. So for creating a method, for now just see public void, and let's method name is accelerate, okay. And then we have a parenthesis and then we have curly braces, right? So inside this we will write the logic that how it will like accelerate, okay. So this is we call a method, okay. So don't worry, we have dedicated video on methods, it will be coming to Okay, next video it will be most probably. Okay, so for defining the behavior we use the methods, right? So this class is a blueprint, right? So now let's go to the objects. Okay, so now we have created a blueprint. Okay, so now we want to create an actual car. Okay, so for creating an actual car we use objects, right? Let's say go to the anonymous window, and now we are creating an object. Okay, so let's say for creating an object we use the syntax, which is a class name. Okay, right, a class name, then object name equal to new, then again class name, then parenthesis, and then semicolon. So okay, so this is the syntax of creating a object. Okay, so now let's create an object. So our class name is car, right? Oh, now the actual car is Tesla, right? Let's create a car one. Okay, equal to, we will use new keyword, then again class name car, then parenthesis, and then semicolon, right? So what we have done is we created a class, we created an object which is an instance. Object is an instance of a class. Okay, so car class is a blueprint, but our actual car is car one. Okay, actual car is car one. Now we can give them give it a name which we have defined with, like we can assign the properties to this object which we have given the in the class. Okay, so let's say how we can do it, like car1 dot name. Okay, but we can give it as a like um, Tesla, right? car car1 dot model, let's say model is 2026, and car1 dot color equal to red. Okay, so what we have done is we have created an actual car with this car blueprint, right? So the object is an instance of a class. It is the actual car, right? So now you have seen we use the dot operator, okay, to set the properties value, right? So using the dot operator, using the dot operator we can assign the value. We have to just write the class name, then dot, then what the property we have defined, okay, name, and then we can give it a value. Okay, so now let's execute this. Okay, let's write system dot debug and car1. See how the object looks. Okay, so let's execute this, and here you can see we got an error called variable is not visible car dot name, right? So by this error I want to tell you that whenever we create a property or the method in the class, right, so by default it is private. Okay, so another access modifier is private, right? So whenever we define any property or method in the class, it is by default private. Okay, private means it is it is accessible only inside the class. Okay, we cannot access it outside the class, right? So now we want to access it outside the class, right? So what we will do is we will uh, make it as public. Okay, so we will make everything as public. Okay, so by default it is private, right? We have to make it public so that it can be accessible outside the class, right? So now let's save it, and let's wait. Okay, so now the class is saved, and now let's execute this, right? Okay, so it executed successfully, and here you can see the car object have color red, model 2026, and name Tesla, right? So we created the actual car from this blueprint. Okay, so for now we have seen classes. Okay, class is a blueprint, and how we can create a class by clicking on file, new, then we give it a class name, right? And then the class is created. Okay, So then we saw the syntax of the class. What is the syntax of the class? First we have the access modifier, which is public. Okay, so to make it to make it this class accessible outside, like in another class or any other files. Okay, so we make it as public. Okay, so then we have a class keyword, and then we have a car or class name, right, which we have given, and inside the curly braces we write the properties and the methods of the class, right. So for till now we have also seen the two access modifiers, which is public and which is private. By default, every property and method is private. Okay, so to access these properties and method outside this class, we have to make it as public, right. So this is what we have done so far. Okay, so now let's say we have another car which is like Kia, like say BMW, right. So now can we create multiple objects with this single class? Yes, we can create multiple objects, right. So let's create car 2. Okay, for creating an object, we we have first we write the class name. Okay, class name is car, then let's say car, object name is car2, then new keyword, and then again class name and parenthesis. Okay, so this created an empty object, right. So now let's set the properties. Car2 dot name, name equal to, let's say, BMW. Okay, and car2 dot model equal to, let's say, 2026, and car2 dot color equals to, let's say, black, right. So now what we have done is we have created another car, okay, with the same blueprint, right. So now this is about the properties, right. But in class uh, we also have methods, okay, which defines the actions. Okay, which methods defines the behavior. Okay, behavior or actions, right. So what action can car can perform? It can accelerate. Okay, so let's say um, so here we have created a method which is accelerate. Okay, so for creating a method, first of all we use the like access modifier. Okay, so which is public, we use public because we will access this in the outside the class, right. Then we have a void, which is a return type, and then we write the method name, then parenthesis, and then curly braces, right. Let's create another method. Okay, so we are creating as public. Okay, if we do not specify the modifier, right, we directly use void and then stop. Okay, then we use parenthesis and then we use curly braces, and inside the curly braces we write the code. Okay, okay, so by default this method is private. We will not able to access this outside this class. Okay, so we have to make it as public so that we can access it outside the class, right. So inside the curly braces we write the actions, what action will be performed. Okay, so let's inside the method let's print, okay, system dot debug, right. Let's say car is moving, right, and inside the stop method we use car is stopped, right. We will have a detailed video on methods. Okay, so don't worry about it. For now, let's see how we can use the methods, how we can call the method by the object. Okay, so now here for calling a method we are done with the properties, like we set the properties, right. So now we want to perform actions. Okay, so now let's see how we can call a method. Okay, so simple, you have to write a class name. Okay, dot, what is your method name? Method name is accelerate, and then you have to write parenthesis and then semicolon. Okay, so that's how we call a class, sorry, methods. Okay, so let's execute this line. uh, let's execute this, execute highlighted. Okay, so here you can see Okay, we have to write this inside the carbon dot. We write the method name was accelerate, right? Method name was accelerate and parenthesis. Now we have to save this also. Okay, let's save it. uh, we haven't saved it earlier, right? Let's do that once again. Let's execute highlighted. Okay, yes, the car is moving, right? Earlier we haven't saved that uh, this. Okay, we haven't saved the class. So right, so now here you can see what we got in the debug. Car is moving, right? We called it the method, and inside the action we specified, it got executed, right? The car is moving. Okay, so if I call the another car one dot stop. Okay, so now let's execute this. Debug only, and then here you can see car is moving, car is stopped, and then here is our object that we painted here, right? So that's how we can call the methods. We can set the properties of the object. Okay, so in the another object car2, we can also call the method in the same way. Okay, car2 dot accelerate. Okay, accelerate, and then parenthesis, then a semicolon. Okay, execute highlighted, and here you can see car is moving. Okay, okay, so we have defined the same blueprint for every object. Okay, so whenever when we can create multiple objects, and we can like use these properties and methods inside our object, right? So for now, for you, I am giving you an assignment. Okay, so you have to create a student class, right? And then inside the student class you have to define the student student name and student age, right? And you have to define the method, which is show method, show message. Okay, and then you have to create object. Okay, create object named as s1, and then set the properties, and then inside show message you can like print message as welcome to apex. Okay, welcome to apex. Okay, you have to create class object s1, and you have to set properties and all the method, right? So that's it for today's video. We will learn methods in like more detail in the upcoming videos. Okay, so if you found this video helpful, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching. I will see you in the next video.